With me here in the studio is Sal Bashir and also Ray Connolly, who wrote a biography and interviewed Elvis Presley. Both of you, thank you so much for being here with us. Sal, I'll come to you first of all because you look the part.
I tried.
You are an impersonator. Tell me, how long have you been fascinated by Elvis?
Ever since I was a child. I grew up in Canning Town, East London, and I first heard Elvis on a jukebox across the road to where we lived in a pub. We heard just Punjabi and Hindi music in my house, but this was a sound so different, and I thought, well, I kind of like the music across the road, so I was listening to this jukebox across the road.
And when did it morph into all of that, the tribute act?
Well, I've always loved Elvis's voice, and I trained to sing like Elvis and Roy Orbison, Buddy Holly, Billy Fury, and I did a karaoke thing in 1997, a long time ago. Give my age away now, Ray. And from there, I developed a show, and it's been fantastic ever since. I've never looked back.
Ray, I said in the introduction, you interviewed Elvis Presley back in 1960. Now you were already a huge fan. Just give me an idea of what that was like.
It's astonishing, really, because you go in and he's with all his mates, they're all sitting around him, and suddenly Elvis stands up. They just look around and say, who's this? And Elvis, very polite, comes across and talks. But it's like being with the Pope, or with, you sort of think, oh, this is Elvis, what am I going to say? And he kind of
Because you were nervous, weren't you? I mean, you interviewed so you didn't interview the Beatles, Bob Dylan, yet you were still nervous about this.
Elvis was everyone's hero. When I left there, I went and talked to Bob Dylan on the phone and John Lennon a few days later, and about something else, but both said, what was Elvis like?
Really?
What did he sing? What did he do? Did he do, that, because he was their hero too, all the same age,
And in terms of the conversations, what he said to you, how open was he?
Quite open. I kind of said to him, why did you make all those terrible films in the 60s? Maybe slightly more diplomatic, but I mean, I was being kind of rude, really. And he was honest. He said, well, I was in a rut and I signed the contracts, but I won't do anything more like that. I'm going to do all these great songs. He had all these great plans, going to make great albums, do great films. He didn't. He just didn't. He just faded away again.
Sal, I forgot to ask you straight away at the top to sing. I mean, give us a few bars.
Go on, sing.
Well, this is one of Ray's favourite songs.
Go on, sing.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so.
Well, Ray's smiling, so it must be good.
You should have stuck to driving the trucks then.
That's a famous Elvis saying, that is.
I mean, you were telling our producer a little earlier that when you started way back, it was tough as a Muslim. But why? Tell me why.
Well, because it just was. I mean, there was this barrier, really, of people like myself in the working men's clubs and pubs. We didn't frequent places like that unless we were minicab drivers, I suppose. And so people used to judge me on my complexion and the colour of my skin before I even opened my mouth. But I always said, look, listen, the jumpsuits don't sing. The colour don't sing. This does. Please give me a chance. And if you don't like me, kill me in the car park, So I relied on my savvy and confidence to try and win people over and be an ambassador for my culture and creed. And it's always been that way.
So your charm and your singing won you through.
Yes.
Ray, I mean, we were talking about the museum. I mean, every aspect of Elvis's life is crammed into this thing. I mean, when you talk to him, how aware was he of just the total fascination and everything about him?
Probably not as much as you'd think. I always thought he didn't really know how good he was. He didn't get it. Worldwide known, but he didn't get it. And a bit of that, was going on.
I agree.
And it was, and it was it was in the, I don't know, it was in a world of his own.
And we're seeing the pictures from this new museum, and as I described it, the clothes, even the sound stages, the things he stood on during those concerts, they're all there, and it's a huge complex. I think he told
Nudie Cohen, that suit, famous designer for custom-made cars, and that's from 1957. That particular suit that Elvis wore.
Ray, just briefly on the point of how he viewed himself. I mean, he feared, didn't he? He told you that he'd not be forgotten. I mean, it's extraordinary.
He did say when he was a few months from his death, he actually said to a girlfriend, former girlfriend, "When I go, people aren't going to remember me." So he had no idea of his thing. He didn't tour the world, so he didn't know he didn't come here.
Yeah.
So,
I feel nervous asking this of both of you, but you know, here we are, 40 plus years on. Are we getting to the stage where, certainly with the latest generation, people begin to say, Elvis who?
No, because the marketing is so extraordinary. And he was the archetypal rock singer. If you think of a rock singer, you think of Elvis. You just do, as did everybody else. And that marketing, it just goes on and on and on.
And marketing that's actually growing in Asia and China.
It is. I think since India has been, you know, there's more of a democracy there now and commercialisation, Elvis is becoming discovered. You know, it's quite fascinating. They all know in Malaysia, Indonesia, China, Michael Jackson, and now they're discovering Elvis, this iconic guy who never left the United States, who could sing gospel, rock, country, pop, blues, everything, and this music is absolutely fascinating.
He died young, so he can never get really old.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bing Crosby got old.
Forever young,
it's
forever
interesting to have a museum. We're almost out of time, so briefly, you have a museum that can put together all manner of aspects. What you can't reproduce is how groundbreaking he was at that time.
You can't get that, can you? But it just changed. It just changed the way you thought. Bob Dylan said it's like busting out of jail hearing Elvis. Great, you know, it was so exciting. Your life could change. It did. I mean, it was. Everyone I know of that generation.
And apart from Sal, will we see the like of it again? Do you think?
You can't get the same things going on at the same time. The same social changes going on.
That's right.
Well, listen. Time has defeated us, but thank you so much, both of you, for coming in and talking us through. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thanks very much. Plenty more from us in the next few minutes. We're back in Washington with the very latest on Jeff Sessions. Don't go away.